Pranay Upadhyay for the overall picture here, Pranay. You were, of course, tracking very closely the visit by Putin, but beyond that, you also watched the entire full 100-minute interview of Vladimir Putin. There's so much to watch out for. And Pranay, if you're with us, as you stand by for the first images of Putin once he touches down in Delhi, what to you is going to be the biggest headline that will emerge from Putin's visit? Okay, don't think Pranay is with us. We'll reconnect with him. But in the meanwhile, I know you're all counting down to the interview when it airs at 9 p.m. tonight. We've also, on popular demand, pulled out a few of those nuggets of what really to expect in this interview with Vladimir Putin. Take a look at some of those excerpts where the Russian president speaks about his connect with Prime Minister Modi, where the Russian president speaks about why India is such a crucial ally for Russia.
Very interesting question, because when you met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in SCO, and there was this picture and video of you and him going in a car, and we're showing it to our viewers right now. You were traveling in a car with him. Was it pre-planned, or how did it go about? How did it happen? And what did you discuss in the car?
We were talking about
the current agenda. It was not pre-planned. We just went outside into the street, and my car was there, and I suggested that we should get together, just, as a sign of friendship, for comradeship. There's nothing, no complicated orchestration, just as friends. We got together in one car, and we spoke. Along the road, there was always something to talk about. And, we had a conversation. We even sat in the car for quite some time. And then I said, yes, we should go because they're waiting for us. But there's nothing special about that. It just testifies to the fact that there's a lot we have to talk about. And these topics are of importance to us.
Right. President Sir, the fact that you're going to go to India, you just said that both leaders are going to cement the guarantees that you give each other. What are the kind of announcements that we can expect? We've heard about technology transfer. We've heard about trade enhancement. What are the solid announcements during this visit? And I ask you this is because the world, and you know who I mean, would be watching.
Well, the
world is going to be watching. I don't think there's anything special about that, because, India is a great country, 1.5 billion people. It's a developing economy where the rate of growth is 7.7%. This is the first result in the world. Prime Minister Modi has managed to achieve that, and this says a lot. The Indian nation can take pride in. There's a lot to be proud of. Of course, there are always detractors, critics who believe that this can be done better, but that said, the result is evident. We've got a whole plan for cooperation which covers the most important spheres and fields. The most important ones are certainly oriented towards the future, and one of them is high technology. India and Russia are working together in outer space exploration, in energy, nuclear energy in particular, which is well known because, one of the leaders in that field, also shipbuilding, aircraft building. We have very many interesting directions which are oriented towards the future. Or let's take artificial intelligence. We'll probably talk about that later. But this is one of the key technologies of the future which is reshaping the world as we speak, because it manages to multiply things many-fold, but at the same time it creates certain challenges to be addressed, and we'll talk about all of that. And as Prime Minister Modi thinks and what I think, well, we'll choose what is of the greatest significance at this stage, and we'll help for that.
Agreement, sir?
Ну, конечно, сейчас
Well,
просто,
of course.
наверное, лучше не
But
анонсировать.
we should probably not announce them right now because, all of that is going to be announced in the course of the visit. We will present that to the public. And then the colleagues will present all of these agreements to us and we'll have to give our final approval to these agreements.
When you met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in SCO, and there was this picture and video of you and him going in a car, and we're showing it to our viewers right now. You were traveling in a car with him. What did you discuss in the car?
So what we just showed you is a small glimpse of what to expect at 9 p.m. tonight, when we will be playing that 100-minute long, completely uncensored, uncut interview for you, where you'll hear Vladimir Putin's thoughts on so many issues, on every possible global issue. He's spoken his mind out like never before. Joining me here in the studio, Gaurav, of course, has been taking you through all of the big headlines that are expected from this interview. Preeti Choudhry is also with us. Preeti, good evening. I'm sure you've also been seeing all of the buzz, getting endless calls and texts, I'm sure, asking what has Putin spoken about, when is the interview going to be coming out, what is going to be the big headline?
Well, you're bang on, Akshita. And first up, I think as the India Today group, as a group, we take immense pride that, we are the ones who've gotten, this interview first. One thing is very clear. This is not just in the context of India or South Pacific. This is in context, it has deep global meaning that we have got this interview. What Putin says today, and we air it at 9 p.m., will not just be quoted back home here or in Russia or, say, the Southeast Asia. It will be quoted internationally on what he says about Trump, what he speaks about the tariffs, what he has to say about oil, what he has to say about defense cooperation where India is concerned. This is truly a global interview. So just by the, for just a minute, I just want to step back and pat ourselves at the back that it's a job.
Scale of it.
Just the sheer scale of it. It's a job well done, and you're bang on. My phone has been ringing. I don't know about yours, Akshita, because I remember Akshita has been in the PCR all through the course of the night, trying to, put it all together. And what I think most of us are completely aghast, and pleasantly so, is that nothing was scripted. And everybody says, oh, that's what everyone says, but you'll have to really, wait and listen in at 9 p.m. today to that 90-minute interview to get an understanding of why we are saying what we are saying, why it wasn't completely unscripted. That is the basic tenet of it. But, personally, Akshita and Gaurav, I don't know about you guys, but what I really feel is there's so much, if there is a classic terminology called palace intrigue, if it is attached to a particular leader, I would think it has to be President Putin, because there is so, the mysterious aura around the man is so intense that there are multiple interpretations of it in the geopolitical context that we stand in today. And I think that in itself is huge that we have him. He's taken every question. So a bit of that palace intrigue that we speak of would be neutralized today. To what degree, you'll only know at 9 p.m., Akshita, won't they?
I was, you were highlighting how I was there listening to the whole interview. We were in office till about 5 this morning, kind of going through everything. And when you've listed out all of the issues, Preeti, what I'm doing in my head is constantly going tick, tick, tick on each of those issues, because each of those issues Putin has actually spoken on in their interview. Not one of those issues have actually been missed. He's spoken on every single one of those. On who Putin is, the person that he is, how has he been one of the longest serving world leaders, etc. Anjana and Geeta very smartly also asked him about that, tried to understand the man that he is, the person that he is. He's kind of given us a glimpse of that too. When I went into the production control room and we were setting up for this interview there, I think we all had a certain image of Vladimir Putin, of someone who's a tough man, walks the talk, of course, but also you always assume a man of very few words, someone who's very, rigid, who's very in control. And you got that sense the moment he entered the room that he was in control. But also what I think most of us were taken aback by was how candid he chose to be. How candid he chose to be on so many issues. Very often he had a smile on his face. He had a great sense of humor, by the way, in the interview, which you'll see at 9 p.m. So there are so many highlights that I can't stop talking about it, honestly.
You know what, Gaurav, I think, if I may just come in, what I thought was, it's a little bit of an off the interview on the sidelines where we had, our editor-in-chief, and Vice Chairperson Kalipuri, where we had that interaction with her in terms of Anjana and Geeta, who conducted that interview. And there was this one question, because I was just thinking, because I'm doing a bit of political interviews nowadays, nothing compared to what we've landed here, but, so I think, what is that one question I'd really like to ask somebody who's been 25 years in office,
Is it
right?
the regrets
and the regrets one.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets? And that, I think, with what Arun Puri said, we call him AP back here at the India Today headquarters, what he said, what he told him was classic, because that, I think, is classic Putin of what you think he is.
Yeah.
But no, he doesn't look back, he only looks ahead.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. But, in terms of the big ticket, statements, the big ticket comments, especially at a time where, Gaurav speaks so much of a multipolarity in this, time right now, where the geopolitics of the world is concerned. I am so looking forward to this interview.
Gaurav, what do you think? Do you think, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people looking into body language, looking into how Putin is taking several of these questions, because everyone wants to understand who Putin is as a person as well. There will be so many questions about what does he do? How has he been in command for so long? What's his aura like? There'll be so many of those questions as well.
Indeed, and he is somebody who comes across as someone who's very, very strong. He's ex-KGB, he's been a colonel in the KGB, served undercover, was posted in East Germany, then East Germany, then, of course, switched over, became a political leader, and the way he's been president of Russia, and the way he handles every issue. If you notice one thing about him, he's very calm. He listens to you, he smiles, he responds at his pace. So there's a conflict that's on. Remember, initially people said Russia will be broken, Russia will be shattered, but the way he executed this operation and he continues to pursue it, he's somebody who knew what he wanted to do, the kind of pressure he wanted to mount on the Ukrainian regime, the kind of pressure he's now mounting on Europe when he has to give out a threat, when he has to carry out his nuclear, exercises. He knows what he wants to do, and perhaps that's the reason why America is also reaching out to him. And right now, Europe is palpitating. Europe is in panic, because look at what's happening in Moscow. One is this India Today interview. One is the Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Moscow. And the other is the American special team in Moscow. So you have three very powerful entities in dialogue, and there's no Europe there on the table. So if you're not on the table, you're on the menu, and that's exactly what appears to be happening with them.
Okay, so we've got a countdown on our screens right now of when the Vladimir Putin World Exclusive airs. It's at 9 p.m. tonight.